And first, let me introduce myself. For those of you who I haven't got a chance to meet, my name is Ike Manello. I am one of the lead experts for the Diversified Cash Flow account, which, if this is your first time being on a live, or if you just got started with MWR recently, the Diversified Cash Flow is a vehicle that allows you just to do exactly what it says, to diversify your cash flow, to use your money twice. So you might ask, how can I use my money twice? Well, I want to start by asking you a few questions. Number one, have you ever thought about what the banks do with our money whenever we take our money and put it in the bank? Because if I don't know if you're like me, but there was a time whenever I sat there and I took money and I put it into the bank, and I sat there and I waited and I waited and I waited, and I came back and I saw that I got less than 1% on my money. Now, let me ask you this. You probably have been in the same situation. And I got to thinking, what are banks doing with my money? And there's something that as I started researching, learning, I realized all banks do is take our money, they put it somewhere else where they can grow it, and they tell us this is all they can give us. So what I started trying to figure out is, how can I take my money and put it where the banks are putting theirs? And that's the concept that you have available to you with the Diversified Cash Flow. But today, I want to introduce this concept to you, this diversified concept to you, but I want to more talk about it in one particular light, and that's debt. See, I don't know about any of you, but there was a time when I wasn't in debt, because I think there's a lot of us that are in debt the cool way, right? I mean, you got a house, you got a couple of cars, I call that cool debt. Cool debt is where you're not ashamed to tell everybody, oh yeah, I got $1 million worth of debt. I got $700,000 house, a couple of cars worth about 50,000. That's cool debt, right? It's still not good, but that's cool debt. I had that type of debt that I was ashamed to tell anybody about, right? I had about 14 different credit cards, right? I had loans from people and companies I should have never loaned money from. I had furniture loans. I had dog food. I had all kinds of loans. And I don't know if you've ever been in the place to where you wake up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because of debt. And you wake up, and if you've been there, you understand this, because you don't tell anybody. You wake up and you start thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to solve this problem? And it seems like the more we try to solve it, the worse the problem gets, right? So what I would do is I would say, okay, well, I'm gonna get another job, and I'm gonna take some of that money, and then I'm gonna put it toward the debt, or I'm gonna stop eating out, and I'm just gonna eat rice and beans and bread and meat sandwiches. I'm going to try all these things because I want to put my family in a better situation. And if you've been there, you understand what I mean. Debt can be something that that consumes us, not just mentally, but also starts taking a part of our physical being. We don't feel like doing anything else anymore, because we're in a situation to where debt has a hold of us. So the reason I'm talking about that is because, what if there was a way to pay off all of your debt? Like, what if there was a way not just to pay off your credit cards, to pay off your cars, but to pay off all your debt and your mortgage without spending any extra money than you're currently spending? The reason this is so important is because most of us go through life. We go through life living a kind of in a quiet desperation, not really telling other people. Which, by the way, if you think your neighbor doesn't have debt because the kids have matching clothes and shoes from the Gap, they got debt. Everybody has debt. So what we're going to talk about today is, we're going to talk about how this diversified cash flow you can use it to pay off your debt. But instead of talking about it, because for those of you who have been here, we've done different lives where we've broke it down. We broke down exactly how it works. We've shown different scenarios with cars, with homes. We've shown some of my past client scenarios. What we're going to do today is something we haven't done before. MWR brought the Diversified Cash Flow account to you all this year. And since the beginning of this year, there's been hundreds of people who've came through, set up an appointment. There's been people who are walking testimonials. And I thought today we're gonna highlight some of those people. I'm fortunate enough to bring up a gentleman that less than 3 hours ago, he didn't even know he was going to be on here. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. He didn't know he was going to be on here, because what happened is we were sitting there talking, and we were going through his plan, and I said, "Would you like to be on tonight?" I mean, tonight I'm gonna be speaking tonight, and I understand, everybody has, but I like to feature you, and I understand there's a lot of people that's been through here. And I know you're probably wondering, you could have featured me. You could have shown them my plan. Mine went from 27 years to 7 years. Mine went from 35 years. I know there's a lot of people. This just happened to be the gentleman that I was talking to today. And today I happen to be presenting today. So I want to bring up Mr. Clovel, and we're going to actually go through, kind of an interview, but at the same time, we're going to go through what happened with him today, because before today, today, he had a plan, and this man was working toward his plan in order to get out of debt. So, Clovel, appreciate you for being willing to jump on short notice. Number one, this man, the first time we had a meeting, not only was he ready, not only had he already went through the back office, followed all the steps MWR suggests. Right? Not only had he done that, but he was attentive and ready. In his eyes, I saw somebody that, like, he said, "Look, I'm ready to go. Just right now, I just want to follow the steps. I want to go through the steps that MWR has laid out." So, Clovel, if it's okay with you, I'd like to get into your plan.
Let's go.
All right. So the first thing is, let me ask you a question, Clovel, because you booked an appointment. What made you, what made you book the appointment? Let's talk about that first.
Well, the reason that I booked the appointment is I did not want to leave my family in debt when I pass. I did not want to be that father that left debt for my loved ones to handle and deal with when I pass on. That was my number one reason.
Absolutely. Well, I can definitely relate to that. Because and I think there's a lot of men on here that can relate to that. That can relate to wanting to pass something on to their kids and to their grandkids. That's not debt, right? So let me ask you this: so you booked an appointment. What was the process like as far as booking the appointment and things like that? How did that go?
It was super easy, super simple. I just went to my back office. I followed the steps. Input my information. You guys got back with me in a matter of days, even over the 4th of July holiday, which was amazing. And then your assistant was super attentive as well. And it was a simple process. And then we got on the call and we made it happen, sir.
All right. So I appreciate it. So what we're going to do, if it's okay with you, I want to start going through some of these slides, and I want to ask you, because this just happened today, right? Like today was our presentation. You just did this today. So as we start scrolling down, Martina, I want to get to a certain part. Just keep scrolling. We already know about this. And I want to get to, keep going. There's going to be a part, let's see, right here. So you were already in a position to where you were putting extra money toward debt. Matter of fact, when you put together when I looked at your plan, I remember thinking, this man is already putting $1,300, an extra $1,354 toward all of his debt to pay it off. And I know some of us are in the same boat to where, look, that credit card might be $6,000 and the minimum payment is $400. But look, I got to drop an extra $1,000 because I'm about to use that thing like tomorrow, right? I got to drop an extra $2,000 because I'm going to use it tomorrow. So some of us, we're already putting money toward debt, and we're not realizing how much we're actually putting because we're still using that. So keep on going, Martina. I want to get to the part where, because you're already putting right here. So I want to ask you this question. For somebody that was already putting an extra $1,300 towards your debt, whenever you saw this page and saw that even though you're putting an extra $1,300 towards your debt, you were still going to be in debt for 27 years and 10 months. What was the thought process when you saw this?
I was like, wow. When you see the numbers in real time and in real life, I was like, wow, there's no way in the world that I'm gonna get out of this. So I need to find a way. I was in
Yeah,
shock.
and because you're not somebody that's not trying. I mean, you're trying. You're putting this extra money toward it every month, right? And then Martina, if we go down to the interest part, this is the part that even though he's putting so much money, and then the big news is this: $158,000 in interest towards your mortgage. Now, I want you to tell everybody, what is your interest rate on your mortgage?
3.25.
Now, listen. Do you know how many people in the United States would give up something for a 3.25 right now? I mean, if you told me right now that I could take a 3.25 over what I have right now, I'll trade you just like this. And I think there's a lot of us on here that would do the same thing. The challenge is this: most of us, they've conditioned us to believe that the interest rate they're showing us is the interest rate we're getting. And whenever you take a look at how mortgages work, right, how the banks have structured it to where the majority of our payments are going toward interest, a lot of people say, oh, that's the first 15 years. No, that real 3.25 interest rate, he won't see that until the 30th year. That's why when you take a look at his debt, $304,300 of a mortgage, $158,000 in interest as far as a mortgage for the total debt, real debt of $541,348. So I already know it was kind of like one of the sobering things, right? You see the 27 years, and then you're like, because I saw your face when we were going through this, and then we see the 541,000 in debt. And you was like, so the question I have for you is this: what was going through your mind as far as what you thought we might be able to do whenever before? Because I was teasing you a little bit. And I said, "Are you ready? What was going through your mind with that?"
Yeah, well, I was like, okay, well, maybe if they could get it down to 20, maybe 15, I'll be happy. That'd give me a chance, you know what I mean, to make something happen. That's the number I was looking at.
That's the number. And at this point, right? At this point, you didn't know you were going to be on this call tonight. Because at this point, I said, "Hey, man, do you?" Because I knew your numbers, I knew what it looked like, and I said, "Hey, do you mind being on the call tonight?" And you was pretty apprehensive at first because there was no excitement there. You was like, it sounded like you're ready to make up an excuse. I got to be here. I got to do this, and you were pretty kind of not like you weren't ready, but I think you wanted to see those numbers, right? You wanted to see proof. And there's a lot of people on here that, in order for you to see proof, you have there's a lot of people will come to us and they have these preconceived notions, beliefs in their head. And the biggest challenge I tell people whenever we're going through this is this: everything that you thought you knew about money, you need to erase, because this vehicle and what we're able to do is something that you probably have never seen before. Your friends have probably never seen it before. And the people who think they know, they still have never seen it before. So we went from this to Martina. Let's go to the next page. And I said, drum roll, please. Are you ready, Clovel? He said, yeah, I'm ready. And we went from
ready.
27 years to what? Let's go all the way down. 9 years and 9 months. Keep on scrolling, Martina. Let's keep on going. And that's exactly what you did too, right? He shot the jump shot. He says, score. 9 years and 9 months to be debt free. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. If you take a look at the interest saved, $73,767 saved. So the time it took you, let me ask you this: the time it took you to book the appointment, to sit on the first appointment, to do the second appointment, you just made you and your family $73,000. You just took $73,000 and you put it right back into your financial future. You put it right back into your family. How's it feel, man? I mean, how does it feel now that you know for sure you got a plan and you're gonna be out of debt in 9 years and 9 months and save $73,000?
That's absolute fire, man. I always wanted to be debt free. I tell my kids all the time, y'all don't have no bills. There's so many Americans trying not to get in that position. We spend the rest of our lives trying not to have any bills and be out of debt. And it's absolutely phenomenal that I have a debt-free timeline, and awesome that I made my family $73,000 on top of that. It's absolutely phenomenal. And this stuff is not taught to us in school, which I think is a disservice, but it's absolutely awesome, man. I don't have no words right now.
Yeah, you were speechless earlier too. He said, he was like, is this real? Now here's the interesting thing about this, and we're about to wrap up here in a second, y'all. But here's the interesting thing about this. Before today, you had a plan where you were already putting an extra $1,350 towards your debt. Even with that extra $1,350, you were going to be in debt for 27 years. You were going to pay over $150,000 in interest. So had we have fast forward 27 years from now, you would have been out of debt, but you wouldn't have had much of a retirement because all of your money was going towards what? Debt and interest. A lot of people will come to me and they say, and I'll see people that are putting all this money away for savings. They're doing the right things. They're putting money away for retirement, but they don't realize what's stopping their retirement is right in front of them. It's the interest that they're paying. It's the debt that they have that's keeping them in shackles. So what I did for yours is I did something unique. I wanted to see your original plan. You're going to be in debt for 27 years. You were going to pay over $150,000 in interest in just your mortgage. And at the end of that 27 years, you would have no money to show for it. You just would have been out of debt. Now, let's scroll down, Martina. Let's fast forward just 15 years. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Let's fast forward and see what's going to happen. And I know that you can barely see that, but this is what's going to happen in I guess it was 17 years. I should have got the 15-year one. The 15-year one was $232,000. But let's make that a little bit bigger, Martina. And so now, not only are you debt free, and this is the part that a lot of people, it's hard to grasp. Not only is he going to be debt free, but he's going to have $269,142 in half the time he would have had when he wouldn't have had anything. So beforehand, he was going to be out of debt in 27 years, and he was got nothing to show for it. Now, in 17 years, not only is he going to be out of debt, but he's going to have $269,142 accessible to him to do whatever he wants to do. Now, that, my friend, is what I call a great plan. All right. Clovel, I appreciate you being willing to come, because I think there was a lot of people that needed to see a real person, right? I go through examples, but also being vulnerable enough to be able to share your information, right? Whenever I ask you, I say, hey, what can I show them? He says, show them everything, man. I want to be transparent. I want people to see that, I had my own, doubts about different things, but I still wanted to be able to take that step. And that's what you did. So any last words, man, before we get you off of here?
Yeah, I'd like to say a quote from my mentor, Mr. Charles Ivory. He tells me this all the time. Documentation beats conversation every day, all day, and twice on Sunday.
I love it. And right now, not what you have, my friend, is documentation. You have documentation of not just for yourself. And this is the part that I try to help people understand. Sometimes some people will come to us and they'll say, man, I wish I would have had this information 10 years ago, Ike. I wish I would have had this information 20 years ago, Ike. Some people will say that, and I say, you know what? The time is now for you, because this information that you have, now that you know it, it's your job to pass it on. It's your job to teach teach the people you know, because if you don't teach them, who's going to teach them? They're not learning in school. So again, appreciate you, Clovel. I want to wrap up with this, and this is just, again, me talking from the heart, right? There's so many of us that are in this situation with debt, and I think it's nothing to be ashamed of at this point. I mean, take a look at the United States. The United States is in debt. You look at it, you walk down the street tomorrow, 9 out of 10 people you see are in debt. The shamefulness is going to be not doing something about it. If you're here in MWR, you have a duty to yourself and your family to put yourself in a position to use the tools that are here in order to help yourself get out of debt. And then you have another responsibility. You have a responsibility not just to teach yourself and your family this, but you have a responsibility to bring other people into MWR in order to be able to understand the power of financial education, the power of what happened with Martha, what happened with Clovel. We're not talking soaps and sponges here. This is life-changing things that could change your life forever. So, as always, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to share the things that were passed down to me and the things that we do in our agency, in our group. And my goal for you is to see you in the next example, to be the next testimonial to where we can help you and your family change your financial future. Appreciate you.